The lineup for it looks like this. Chip Hanauer returning to the seat of the Miss Budweiser. We'll be anxious to see how he reacts. Dave Villwock will be aboard the Pico American Dream. Mark Evans will be in the U9. That's the Miss Exide. And rounding out the field will be Jack Barry and the Miss Beelers. Let's learn more about that boat and driver.
When they talk about the all-time great hydroplane racers, Bill Munsey, Dean Chenoweth, Chip Hanauer, Mark Tate, sometimes they forget to mention Jack Barry out of Seattle, Washington, driving Fred Leland's second boat, and just tickled to be here.
Oh, you bet. This is my first trip back east, and it's in a turbine boat, and we got initiated in the Gold Cup on the Detroit River 2 weeks ago. So yeah, we're just happy as punch.
You were one of the last big piston pushers driving the Miss Rocks. You drove Packards, Griffins, Merlins. How do you like the turbine?
It's like having a good Rolls Merlin in there, and you're on the nitrous, being on the nitrous all the time.
You qualified about 20 miles an hour slower than the fast boats. Did you show them everything you had?
No, like I said, this was my first time on this course, and just wanted to go out and see how the boat was going to handle, and I'm still getting used to the boat, and we just want to make sure we got in the show, and so we come in with a 137.
That boat is owned by Fred Leland. Another boat owned by Fred Leland is Pico's American Dream, driven by Dave Villwock, and he's got problems. The American Dream is a nightmare at this point. He's got the cowling up, trying to fix the boat on the course, but obviously the other boats are coming around for the start. Watch in lane number 1, Jim. It's going to be on the start of the race. Chip Hanauer has successfully taken that boat to the start line for the first time since he suffered a back injury in the Gold Cup in Detroit several weeks back.
Actually, this is his first competition. That accident happened just before the start of the race on a warm-up lap in Detroit a couple of races ago. So Chip, sore back and all, is back in the cockpit, and he's now leading as they come down the back chute on lap number 1. And look at the Exide give him all kinds of problems right there as they go into corner number 3.
I think that Chip has got to look over and say, wait a minute, is that Mark Evans in the Exide? That boat is driving beautifully right now in second place, but just barely off the right hip of the Miss Budweiser boat. Mark Evans doing a great job in the Miss Exide for Exide batteries. There's the Miss Budweiser. That boat whole again after suffering a lot of destruction last week. He is now back in the boat that is whole. They lost a wing on that in Louisville, Texas. They lost basically the right side of the boat for something like 12 feet, which included the tiplet. They were having a lot of handling. Oh, the Exide has apparently lost power. It looks like the second place boat has gone down in the water. Mark Evans just trying to get off the course at this point. He's trying to restart that engine. It doesn't look like he's going to get power to it. He has just gone dead in the water. There's Beelers going by in second place now. Jack Barry, first time on this course. Very happy to be driving that turbine-powered boat. I'm sure very happy to be in second place. Here's your leader, the Miss Budweiser.
And 144-mile-an-hour lap, last lap for Chip Hanauer. And he comes in to take the checker flag to win his first heat of 1994.
There's the Exide boat. What a story to be told for Mark Evans. He was riding in second place, and it looked like he was going to challenge for the lead, but it was a no-go. There's your finish.
The Budweiser wins. Miss Beelers second. The Exide and American Dream had problems in this heat.
The racing has already been hot and heavy on the Ohio River as the thunderclouds try to gather overhead, but so far the weather is holding as we get ready for Heat 2A. It'll be the Miss Budweiser with Chip Hanauer, the Miss T Plus Steve David, A2 Communications Mitch Evans, and the American Dream Dave Villwock. They're coming down tight for the start. We'll see if the referee decides to go. He does, and they are off. Right on the inside again in lane number 1, Chip Hanauer, who is again returning to the seat of the Miss Budweiser. Looks like he's going to try to take command of this race from the start. Meanwhile, Jim, this shot from the wing of the T Plus is just a powerful shot to show you the speed and the action.
As we look at our number 2 place boat, the T Plus, trying to catch that rooster tail on his left. We've had lots of exciting action. Mike Hansen, by the way, winner of the last race, as a substitute driver in the Miss Budweiser, is the backup driver today. He's kind of standing by on the Bud crew.
And I can understand that with the sore back that Chip Hanauer still has. There you can see the amount of water that's being thrown around by the T Plus as she comes down in second place. There's the distance between first and second. They go into the turn. Chip Hanauer at about 148 miles per hour. He wants to get out in front, get the high speed right off, and then kind of pace himself the rest of the way. Meanwhile, A2 Communications is now riding in third. They've had a little problem with the American Dream. He is trying to get the boat restarted. But for the second time today, Dave Villwock has a problem with that engine.
The word from the pits is just nickel and dime stuff. They have throttle linkage that come loose, and he's just not getting any gas to the engine as we look at our leader with one more lap to go. And our second place boat is the T+.
Now, Jim, this is a rough course, but it's nothing like it was at Lake Louisville outside of Dallas. These boats, that one in particular, had a loose wing when it finished up last week. The Budweiser had all sorts of damage to it. A2 Communications came out whole. But I'll tell you, a lot of boats were beat up. A lot of damage was done. Here's that shot again as we look down from the stabilizer wing on the T+. It's a great shot because it shows you the speed these boats are going.
And we're on lap number 3 now. It's only a 3-lap sprint in the preliminary. And we'll have our final 7 boats to race with 6 up front and 1 trailer here in Evansville, Indiana today.
Chip Hanauer, who says his back doesn't hurt as bad when he's in the seat of the boat and driving, takes the win, the checkered flag. That'll make that back feel even that much better. Chip Hanauer returned to the seat of the Miss Budweiser with that bad back today. He has so far taken 2 wins. I don't think you can question the kind of day he's having. Let's check the results, Jim.
And the results will show that the Miss Budweiser, with 2 consecutive victories, has a total of 800 points on the day. Miss T+ is second, A2 Communications third. The American Dream did not finish for the second time.
That's got to be disappointing to Dave Villwock. He sits dead in the water, and I'll tell you what, he's got to be really getting frustrated. As Jim said earlier, it's minor things, linkage to the fuel, this sort of deal that will just not work for the boat. Meanwhile, this one, the Miss Budweiser seems to be happy. Welcome back to Evansville, Indiana. Pontiac Thunder on the Ohio. Dick Crippen along with Jim Hendrick and Steve Montgomery. You know, as big and as powerful as these boats are, there are small adjustments that can be made to the boat that'll make it ride just that much better. And that's the subject of our Eagle Snacks Performance Corner with Chip Hanauer.
Today we're going to talk about hull adjustments. You know, a lot of you may have a ski boat in your garage at home, and there's really not much you can do to the hull itself to change the boat ride. Maybe you can change the propeller or the tilt of the engine, but your hull at home is rigid. You can't make a change. Not so with an unlimited hydroplane. There's a lot of things that we can change to help the boat for different conditions. One of those things is actually changing the angle of places on the hull. Let me show you. Probably the most critical of the adjustable surfaces is what we call the primary runner of the sponson. That's this runner right here. On either side of this runner, which is called the primary, we have the secondaries. One onto the inside, one to the outside. What they do is when the boat comes down hard in rough water, the water hits these and picks the boat back up. But in smooth water, it's just this surface that's touching, and it's just this surface that's adjustable. Now in smooth water, we want a lot of angle into this because as the boat touches, we want it to come back up again, get more air under it. The less wetted surface, the faster we go. But in rough water, we have to flatten this out so that when it hits a wave, it's dead. It doesn't react as much. Now how do we adjust that? With shims. These are simply pieces of wood between this piece of metal, and we have different shims in the truck already cut to different angles of what we call angle of attack and dihedral, which is this angle. Now remember, the rougher the water, the flatter the surface. The smoother the water, the more angle. Much more adjustable than a ski boat, but very critical to make an unlimited hydroplane fast and stable.
Well, assuming all of the adjustments have been made to all of the boats, we are now ready for Heat 2B. Here's your lineup.
And we have a problem down in corner number 1 right now, right off the bat. Miss Beelers is sitting right in the turn. We have 3 boats, the Smokin' Joes. We also have the Tide and the X-Side coming on with that boat down there in turn number 1.
The green light has been given by the officials. There you can see how they set up. The outside boat has got to go far to the outside to get past Jack Barry, who's sitting dead in the water in Beelers. Smokin' Joe's has taken a lead out of turn number 1, and it's a tie battle deck and deck between the Miss X-Side and the Tide.
And the Tide and the X-Side are right up there, and look on the buoy line. Who is it? It's Mark Tate, and riding really smooth today after having so many problems in Texas a race ago.
Maybe they got all the problems taken care of south of the border. Who knows? But right now, Mark Tate does have a very good ride in that boat, and he's got good control. But you can see back in second place, the boat on the outside, the X-Side, and he's got a little problem right now with a guy by the name of Nate Brown, who is driving the Tide in third place, but he is not giving any room at all to the X-Side. Here they come again, and again they are going to have to split up between second and third as they go around Jack Barry.
Jack Barry has a box seat for this one, and the drivers have to, well, they know he's there. They were warned, I'm sure, by their own crew in their radio helmets that look out, there's a boat in about lane 3 on the course. The officials figured with a small field, it would be safe to run, and they let him go.
This boat, Nate Brown in the Tide, is running. He just had a lap of 151 miles per hour trying to catch not only the lead boat, but the second place boat. And there you can see he has moved up into second. He just passed up on the X side. Mark Evans now back in third. So it's Smokin' Joe's in the lead, followed by the Tide. The boat on your screen right there, that 150-mile-per-hour lap, got him up into second place. Third now is the X side, Mark Evans.
And we have a little over one more lap to go for this boat, the leader, which is Mark Tate in the Smokin' Joe's. Goes through a little slop there as he comes down to corner number 1 for the last time. These boats will race 3 times around, sprint style in all the preliminary heats, but then the final on this 2-mile course, it'll be 5 times around.
And we want to remind everybody that Mark Tate was the winner of the Gold Cup in Detroit in our first race of the year. And right now he's being challenged by the Tide boat. Tide having a very, very good run out here in excess of 150 miles an hour. Can he close it down in time to take the checkered flag? No, he cannot. A good run by the Tide, but Mark Tate takes his second win of the day. He's got to be very happy about that. And I think he'll be happy to know that he averaged over 146 miles per hour for the 3 laps. The fast boat in the field was the Tide boat with a fast lap at better than 151 miles per hour. Third place goes out to the Miss X side.
And with the Smokin' Joe win, Mark Tate keeps pace with the Miss Budweiser. They have also won twice here today, and the Smokin' Joe's maintains a 150-point lead in the Eagle Stack O'Doul's High Point Championship run.
So the action is not only on the course, it is very competitive off as they total their points. We'll total more action for you coming up next from Evansville, Indiana, here on ESPN's Speed World.